Oh, it is. It is a Friday episode of Donno Daily here on the Five Reasons Sports Network. As you can see, I am broadcasting today from a super secret, undisclosed location. I'm not in my usual spot. And, as our guy David already pointed out in the chat, only I can promise an early start time, only to be late for that early start time. I can start early, followed by starting late. I know I was saying on social media today that we would start at 1 o'clock. We were scheduled to start at 1 o'clock. I am running a little bit later. Was running a little bit late today because I was having some important conversations about our good friend and colleague, really a friend to South Florida and a friend to all the athletes in this area, Larry Bluestein, who I co-host the Five Rings Canes podcast with on this channel. And a lot of you already know this because Joe Rose talked about it this morning on 560 WQAM. It was an article has been written about it in the Miami Herald and in the Athletic, and I tweeted out a link to the GoFundMe page yesterday. Our boy Blue is in the hospital right now. He is fighting. Very, very severe complications from COVID. And the reason why he's having complications is because of other health issues. He had a kidney transplant about 9-10 years ago. And that's just unfortunately it's become really, really bad. He's fighting. And I think he's doing better today than he was yesterday, from what I understand. But yeah, that's why I'm running late today, or was running late today, because yeah, I was talking to some folks about Blue. And if you guys, I'm gonna link it again on social media. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Alex Donno, Donno spelled Donno, or if you're in front of a computer or you have your smartphone on you, probably I would, if you want to check out the GoFundMe page, because he's going to have he and his family are going to have expenses for in-home care when he is whenever he's ready to go home. So if you can check out, there is a GoFundMe, and it's the one. I don't know if there are any fake ones out there, because sometimes awful people will try and mislead you and take money for their own nefarious things. But the official GoFundMe for Larry Bluestein and for his care, you can find it. It was set up by his friend Harold Cole. So if you Google Larry Bluestein GoFundMe, one of the first results, hopefully the first result, will be a GoFundMe set up by Harold Cole, and you will have an opportunity there to make a donation. So hold on, I've got to send out a couple of things here. Sorry, it's been such a whirlwind with everything going on with Blue. I got to make sure somebody has a link to join us. So we're going to be talking in this episode. We will be talking about the guy who has become the hottest. Hold on one second, guys. All right, a man who has become the internet's favorite candidate for this Dolphins head coaching job, Mike McDaniel. I put out a Twitter poll today, my friends. I put out a Twitter poll to kind of gauge the Dolphins fan base. And I put out this poll: is Mike McDaniel your favorite candidate for the Miami Dolphins head coaching job? And out of 565 people who have voted so far, 63% say yes, that they would actually take Mike McDaniel over every candidate out there for this Miami Dolphins job. Now, keep in mind, there are certain people whose names we were hot on who are technically, at least not yet, known candidates for this job. People like Jim Harbaugh. And you have to wonder about this. And this is something that this was pissing me off a little bit, guys, these last couple of days. When you start to have these reports coming out from the Athletic, Bruce Feldman reported this, that apparently if Jim Harbaugh, who's currently the Michigan head coach, but maybe negotiating a new deal, that if he was offered the Vegas Raiders head coaching job, he would take it. Yet you've had Stephen Ross within the last couple of weeks saying, because he's a big Michigan booster, I think Michigan is probably his first love and the Miami Dolphins are his second love, or their first and second loves. He has said, I'm not going to be the guy to take Jim Harbaugh from Michigan. But okay, if he's leaving Michigan anyway, why wouldn't you want to be the guy to take Jim Harbaugh from Michigan? But we haven't heard anything about Dolphins' interest in Jim Harbaugh. It doesn't seem to be there, at least not at this time. We haven't heard anything about the Dolphins being interested in Doug Peterson, who would seemingly make a lot of sense, right? Super Bowl winning former head coach, former Miami Dolphins player. I know that there are some people out there who have theorized. We had a conversation about Doug Peterson with Hussam Patel yesterday, and Hussam brought up the idea that just because we don't know that they're talking to Doug Peterson doesn't mean they're not, and maybe he will emerge as a front runner. That was actually Hussam's prediction for who's going to end up being the Dolphins head coach. It's not impossible that that would be the case, but it's pretty difficult that we're almost 2 weeks into this and there's been not a single leak, because you think about, these are hard secrets to keep, that if Doug Peterson was going to interview or had interviewed for the Dolphins job, you're going to hear a leak from an agent, from a family member who talks to somebody, and the rumors start to spread. There have been no rumors. So maybe the Dolphins, even though they just fired a Patriots guy, maybe the Dolphins are now subscribing so much to the Patriot way that they have plugged every possible leak out there. But the fact that we haven't heard anything almost 2 weeks in about Doug Peterson or about Jim Caldwell or about Jim Harbaugh being linked to the Miami Dolphins job tells me we might be limited to the candidates that are out there. And it's funny how almost 70% of the people who voted on my poll say they prefer Mike McDaniel over any other candidate for this Miami Dolphins job. And I've seen a couple of people put this out there. This is one of the theories out there on Mike McDaniel. Benton Becker threw this out there based on interviews. Yeah, you see a lot of these compilations on Mike McDaniel, the media work that he does with the 49ers. And I got to tell you, as a Dolphin fan, I would say, oh, it looks like this guy would be really fun to watch, right? It'd be really fun to root for this guy. As a member of the media, he'd be really fun to cover. That looks like a lot more fun of a press conference than the ones we used to have with Brian Flores. But then, is there more to the story, though, with Mike McDaniel? I think there's a lot more to the story with Mike McDaniel. This is a guy who seems to have overcome addiction problems in the past. And by the way, some really good literature has been out there on McDaniel. Adam Beasley from Pro Football Network wrote a great story about him. Our own Hussam Patel detailed, his candidacy to the Miami Dolphins very well. And I was reading a piece this morning on dolphinstalk.com. Let me see if I can find the proper author here. By Mike Oliva on dolphinstalk.com, wrote a good piece on McDaniel. This is a guy, the only thing that's ever, maybe stunted his career growth in the past, it's never been performance-based. It's never been coaching-based. The one thing that was a demon for him years ago was a little bit too much partying and too much alcohol. That was why about 9 years ago, he was fired by the Houston Texans when he was an assistant there, because he would sometimes show up late for meetings because he'd be drinking the night before. He is now a little over 6 years sober, 6 years and about 15 days sober is Mike McDaniel. This guy is literally a genius. He is actually a member of Mensa, which I wasn't even sure existed. The globalists, the elites, they got this Mensa thing. They hang over our head. This is where they decide the fate of the human race up there. So he apparently is an actual member of Mensa. He's a Yale graduate, and he is renowned as a quote-unquote genius. That's not my word. That's the word of people who have coached with him and people who have played for him and with him. Well, not with him because he didn't play football. That's one of the reservations that people have about this guy. But when it comes to play design on the offensive side of the football, especially when it comes to the running game, he has actually been regarded in the recent past as a genius. I kind of look at Mike McDaniel as he's the anti Dan Campbell in every way. Dan Campbell is former player, toughness overcomes scheme, overcomes intelligence, where Mike McDaniel, he looks like Rick Moranis in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, right? Not an imposing guy whatsoever, didn't play the game, at least not at a high level, and everything he does is through analytics and scheming and problem solving and experimentation. And in some ways, not to say that Flo isn't a good football mind, because absolutely Brian Flores is great defensive mind, but personality-wise, Mike McDaniel is like an anti-Brian Flores, because Mike McDaniel actually, based on the videos that I've seen, and this is why so many people like this guy so much, he seems to actually enjoy talking to the media. Where Brian Flores talking to the media, it looked like this guy's about to get an unnecessary surgery or something. Like that was not what he wanted to do. So, and one thing, and we're going to bring on our friend Barry Barger from BetUS.com in just a second. We'll win some money this weekend, my friends. But, one thing that people keep saying about Mike McDaniel, and you guys tell me if you think this is an overrated or an underrated concern here, that he is an offensive coordinator. He is the offensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, but he does not call plays, at least not in an official capacity, because it is Kyle Shanahan who is technically the play caller. Now, I'm sure that there's some collaboration there, and Mike McDaniel is the one who designs the plays and designs the game plan, but the responsibility of calling plays falls to Kyle Shanahan. I thought that Mike Oliva brought up a great point in his story. Head coaches normally don't call plays. So it's the fact that and sometimes they do, yes, but the fact that he is an offensive coordinator who doesn't call plays, is that an automatic red flag against him being the head coach of Miami? Because he probably wouldn't be the one calling plays for Miami's offense anyway. Designing plays, overseeing a staff, yes. So I know we all have PTSD because the Dolphins have had a coach within the last decade who is a former offensive coordinator who didn't call plays. That man was Joe Philbin. Now, I don't think Joe Philbin had as high of a football IQ as Mike McDaniel, and I certainly, after covering Joe Philbin for, the 4 seasons he was here, I didn't come away saying this guy is a leader of men, and, I think the jury would still be out on whether McDaniel is or isn't, but I don't think it's fair to compare him to Joe Philbin. I think the most valid question I would have, and I've seen people bring this up on social media when I was tweeting about McDaniel today, can he put a staff together, right? Because if there's anything we learned from the Brian Flores era in Miami, it's that was one of the things that let Flores down. Like the fact that Brian Flores could not build a staff, that was something that let him down during his tenure in Miami. And he didn't have previous head coaching experience. Mike McDaniel does not have head coaching experience. So can he put a staff together? He's worked on some great staffs, but so did Brian Flores. I mean, Brian Flores worked for Belichick in New England. I mean, McDaniel has basically followed the Shanahan family all around the National Football League, from Denver to Houston to Atlanta to San Francisco. So he's worked for and around some great coaches during his, roughly decade-long career in pro football. So would he do a better job and have a better Rolodex and at least more of a will to put together a staff than Brian Flores did? Now, if I'm the Miami Dolphins, and they already interviewed McDaniel a couple days ago, I think on Wednesday night they interviewed him. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, that's got to be a big part of these head coaching interviews. Like, tell me, if you're coming here, who can you bring with you? Like, who are you going to have working with you? Because we want to make sure we don't put the cart before a horse and hire, a guy with no head coaching experience who we have no idea what kind of a staff he can put together down here. So honestly, you guys know how I feel about this. I think, to me, some of the best potential candidates for this job are people they're not even talking to. I would take Jim Harbaugh in Miami in a heartbeat, and I'm kind of upset that Stephen Ross isn't trying to make that happen. He doesn't seem to be a candidate. I would love the idea of Doug Peterson as a Super Bowl winning coach, offensive mind who's worked well with quarterbacks. I would love to have him here. They don't seem to be talking to him. So out of the candidates that are left, to me, my top 2 favorites are Dan Quinn, who'd be more of a safe hire, but he can build a staff, or Mike McDaniel, who could potentially be the home run hire. And that's why I titled the episode, Should the Miami Dolphins Roll the Dice on Mike McDaniel as their head coach? I think he's got the highest upside by far, because I do think this guy, on a plane of football intelligence, might be higher than 99% of the other people who work as coaches, assistants, or head coaches in this league. So that potential is there in that giant brain of his to be tapped. The question is, can he do all the other things necessary to be the overseer and the CEO of a football team? Let's bring in the... Oh, sorry. I don't know if
Hey, what's up?
I bring you on mid-conversation. I apologize. We have now the man, the myth, the legend. This guy has been winning us money all football season long. We have some big playoff games coming on. We got Barry Barger from BetUS.com. Barry, how you doing, man?
I got to come clean about last week, because the Cardinals Man, I ate it on that pick. AZ just got. Oh, it was ugly. I can't believe that interception that Kyler Murray threw in the out of his end zone, and it looked like Carson Wentz, except he didn't use his left hand. But besides that, no, good. I mean, this is the best. This is seriously the best football week of the year, man. These are all real teams. We aren't getting these scrub games. Last week, was a little. I love the playoffs, I love NFL, I love football, I love sports. It was a little scrub and double-licious,
Yeah, like the only really good game was the Dallas-San Francisco game, right? And Cincinnati was all right, but yeah, not great game.
No, not great. But this will be an extreme awesome because it'll be such a difference every year. This is the best football week. This is incredible. Don't leave if you leave your house, don't leave the bar. Stay there overnight. Bring a sleeping bag. Do not miss any of this. It is imperative to see every single play of every single game and every pregame and postgame. Just
By the way, I don't know if you're able to do this easily because you already have so much energy anyway, but a couple of people are pointing out, Barry, but you sound loud. Are you able to turn that down from where you are?
Yeah, my game was on like 3/4. Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. I think that is better. No, it's funny because when you first got on, I was like, man, either Barry had an extra cup of coffee today or there's like something wonky with my headphones because you were shot out of a cannon, man. You were absolutely shot out of a cannon.
I had my game cranked, and I saw you messing around stuff, and I'm like, oh, he must be just like, I'm like, I didn't think like I suck, so he's trying to adjust it.
No.
Yeah, I should be more awares.
Well, according to the jury on the live chat, they say it's better now. So I would take their word over mine because I've done radio for like 17, 18 years wearing headphones.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hey, and now for your late night chat, it's Alex. I don't know, or do you know? Yeah, don't know.
Late night radio was the best.
I shouldn't waste time doing this.
We have nothing but time here, my man. We have absolutely nothing but time. Now, before we get into game picks for this weekend, and we'll tell people how to place these bets at betus.com. But before we get into that, Barry, before you came on, I was talking about one of the 7 confirmed candidates for the Miami Dolphins head coaching job, he's become very popular among the nerds. Right. He's very charismatic when he talks to the media, but he doesn't have head coaching experience, didn't play football, at least not at a high level. I don't know about it like his high school career or whatever, but he didn't play football at a high level. It's Mike McDaniel, the offensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, who is, he's widely regarded as a quote unquote genius when it comes to play design and just his offensive IQ. And Barry, he's become the very popular pick among Dolphins Twitter, right? Everyone is championing, with a few exceptions, because some people just don't want to take the risk of a guy with his lack of experience. But so many people are championing his cause. They're retweeting clips of his really entertaining interviews that he does with the media, and they want him to be the next Miami Dolphins head coach. I mean, what do you, first of all, we know the San Francisco 49ers have had very successful and very innovative formations when it comes to running the football. I don't know how much you know about Mike McDaniel, but do you think he's ready to be a head coach in this league, and could he do it at a high level?
That's what I'm looking at. I don't know much, and because I got him to put up all the odds on who's going to be the next coach at all these teams. So Josh McDaniels is listed, but I don't see Mike, so I got to get him added after this. But there's we got like 15 guys. Got the Giants, got the Texans, all this speculation. So it's pretty cool, especially as a Dolphins fan. And I'll get that one added when we get off here. I can't even give you any information on him. I don't know of him.
Yeah, he's basically been like the consigliere to the Shanahan family for like the last 10 years. He and Kyle Shanahan, really good friends. He started working for Mike with Kyle with Denver, and then has kind of worked his way around the ranks. He did have at one point a little bit of a hiatus, Barry, because I think it was in 2013. He was fired from Gary Kubiak's staff in Houston, essentially because he partied too much, right? And he since 2016, he says he's not had a sip of alcohol in 6 years, completely sober. He went to Yale. He's actually a member of Mensa, I am told, which I wasn't even sure really existed, but he's a member of Mensa. And so, yeah, he's regarded as like, he's kind of like the next, maybe potentially, because listen, he may crash and burn somewhere, right? But he's looked at as like the next generation of NFL coaches, where very analytical. Like, he's got less of the whole tough guy, Dan Campbell type of approach, and he's more of a nerd, right?
Right.
So that's kind of the way he's looked at.
It's impressive. For him if he had problems and to be sober 6 years and to build up his resume really, this guy is like on a serious upward tilt. Sounds like that's where you want to get, that's where you want to buy stocks. That's where you want to get guys, at their peak and still climbing strong. So yeah, I'm psyched to look at this guy. And you know what? I bet I'll look at it. I'm like, oh, I know who that is. But anyway, but that's some of the odds and props and stuff. We got tons of that out there on all this stuff, because I heard Flores is going to interview for the Jackson.
The Giants? Yeah, well, I think the Texans and the Giants.
Giants, yeah.
I think both.
Yeah. Yeah, he won't have a problem getting a job. That was kind of weird, but who knows? So like on these games, man. So last week, like I said, I wouldn't call that great football, because it was over. And so now you got people saying, well, what, too many playoff teams. And I don't want the season to go away, so I don't want to lower the playoff teams, but
it's true.
I don't know what, but anyway, this week it's fantastic. Our last game is KC, right? KC Buffalo Sunday night.
Yep, that is Sunday evening, 6:30 Eastern time. That's going to be amazing. That's and why don't we start with that one? So. Okay. These teams have become playoff rivals, right? I mean, Buffalo, I was actually pretty bullish on Buffalo last year. And, KC made me realize I was probably overthinking it, because they got through the Bills last year. But, Kansas City at home, they're 2-point favorites in this one. Looks like we're expecting a high-scoring game here with an over-under of 54. Do you think Buffalo, I thought, was the single most impressive team wild card weekend, and Josh Allen the single most impressive player, but how much of that was the Patriots just getting exposed? And do you think they carry that momentum into KC?
I tell you what, you have to give credit no matter what you're going by, or how you would kind of look at it, because 7 scores in a row to start off the game, that's incredible by anybody's standards in any game you're playing. So that's really tough to do. I mean, to keep your bearings and to actually, they weren't stopping. They were gonna crush them 100-0. Like no calling off the dogs or anything.
Did the punter even have to show up? Like, he was probably out drinking down the street. Like, I know he hasn't been sober for 6 years. Like, he was down the street knocking them down.
No punter has been, I don't think. But early, I actually went and I bet a little bit on Kansas City early, because I figured this was going to go to 3. And I think it kind of went 2.5. And now it was teetering to go to 1.5. And I don't think it did yet, but that's where it was going this afternoon. And that's still 2. But it's tough, because Buffalo looked great. Kansas City looked great. But as you said, Josh Allen and Buffalo Bills probably looked the most impressive of all. And by the way, the running game, now that they've, dedicated it to, instead of splitting it up between everybody, and now they are really moving the ball there too. Well, and Josh Allen, who's also averaging like 70 yards rushing a game over the last 5, 6, something like that. But I think it wouldn't surprise me, but I can't go to Buffalo yet. It's in Kansas City. That's really great stadium to play in for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And it could come down to not getting your signals in or your change playing one time because of the home, that crowd. Their decibels really get cranking there. But I just think Kansas City's got a little better team. This isn't a strong play for me. This is my favorite game to watch, but I just don't know what to go here. And even the 55 or 54 and a half, 54 now. So even that, I'd have to go over. But it's pretty odd.
You would like two reasons why I'm gonna go over, and also if I'm wrong, I won't even care because this is one of those where you take a shot at it.
Right.
Just given how we know both of these teams are capable of scoring big time points, and overs are more fun than unders. So I'm gonna go over.
And listen, Mahomes. So in the last, I think it's 5 times. He's throwing at 70%. He's completing 70% of his passes. He's got 7-2 in touchdown interception ratio. But it's McKinnon out of the backfield who's really been making a difference. And I think they're going to stay with him. Like in DFS, I'm playing, for you guys that play DFS, the fantasy, make McKinnon one of your running backs for sure. I mean, he's really rocking it, man. And they're committing to him. They're giving him the ball. So Stephon Diggs, I'm ready for like a huge game by him. I think it's going to happen like 220, 250 and 4 touchdowns. It just I don't know. I'm not sure why it hasn't happened. Last week nobody had over 5 targets from Josh Allen. I just heard a little bit earlier. Talk about spreading the ball out. You scored 7 touchdowns in a row. And you don't have more than 5. How many guys did they pull off the bench to play wide receiver during that game?
Wow.
So anyway, that's where the total's a little tougher, but you like the over, right?
I mean, I like it just because I'm gonna want to. Because here's one of these things, man. Like, and again, this is not a strong play from either of us. So I don't want to hear from anybody next week when they combine to score 53 points. I don't want to hear anyone say Donno and Barry. They told me to lock in the over, to bet the mortgage on the over. No, I just know that Barry. This is one of those things where if the game, if I bet the under and they combine for like 70, 75 points. I'm gonna regret it for weeks.
You'll be calling yourself an idiot for.
I would call myself an idiot.
Yeah.
Where if I take a shot at over 54 and they end up scoring like 50 points, I'm gonna say
that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's okay. You're 100. You nailed it there. You're 100% right on that. That's the way to look at it too. And I mean that's 55. You figure that's only what. Four touchdowns, 4 touchdowns a half. Is that it? One touchdown a team.
I don't know if you have this.
14, 28. I'm gonna check one touchdown each quarter. That's easily doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check the weather in Kansas City on Sunday because I
think every place is not too bad. Yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, high of 43 degrees, sunny skies. Yeah, they'll be fine. I mean, it's
how's
gonna be
Lambeau?
nighttime. Yeah. Ooh, let me check.
How's Lambeau going to be? I heard nothing was too extreme when I was listening to something earlier, like today. Yeah. I kind of want his Lambeau to be kind of nasty. Just
let me see.
I want to see somebody suffer.
That game's Saturday, right? The Green Bay game. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be not too – I mean, it's going to be kind of cold. 20 degrees is the high, but that's a night game, so it'll be probably closer to like 10. Guys, shouldn't be that bad. Yeah.
Right. So that earlier game, Cincinnati, Tennessee. So what do you think about the big dog coming back? Is he going to get a full load? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So is he going to get like 25, 30 touches?
Yeah, Derrick Henry. The only encouraging thing about it was it seems like he's been physically ready to go for about 2 weeks. He hasn't been getting the reps, obviously. So
Mhm.
there's all, could you factor in Russ? He seems to be the type of player, to me, it might take him 2 or 3 carries to shake the rust off. So I think he'll be fine. I think if there were big questions about like how healthy he actually is, then I'd be pretty hesitant. But I think they're going to be ready to take. And even without him, the running game there didn't look too bad.
Yeah,
and now that they have him back, I think they'll be fine. I
they've
think
been doing
Tennessee's
great.
going to win.
Yeah, I think he just needs to get. I mean, football shape is the only thing. You know, until you get out there, it's going to be a little bit. But I expect him to get over 20 carries. That's another guy in DFS. I wouldn't be scared because I think some people might be scared to play him. Or look at those props. I haven't looked at the props yet, but that's always something. You know, how's the game going to go and what matches that?
Well, and I'm looking at the just the spread on this game, and it's that number that it's always, this is the most difficult number in the NFL, 3.5, right?
Right.
Because the magic number is 3. And when you've got a game at 3.5, you're like, oh, what do I do there? Because if I like Tennessee, I don't necessarily know if I like Tennessee to win it by more than a field goal, because it could be a close game.
Well, sometimes what I do on those, and so if you can buy it to 4.5, because if you're getting over 3 and over 4, that's huge. Yeah. But I'll do it. I think I mentioned this before. I'll put them in parlays or something so I get the extra pointage. But if you can get 3.5, that's kind of the golden thing. If you get to 4.5, that's big time. But these in Cincinnati, so man, Joe Burrow's, he's passing it really well, and you just don't know which receiver he's going to use week to week. It seems it bounces around, which is great for them. If you play daily fantasy, it's a little tougher trying to figure out which is going to be the guy this week. But as far as Cincinnati, plus 3.5, that's tempting me. Mm-hmm. I think Tennessee wins the game, but the money line's minus 190. It's a little too high for me to bet that money line.
Yeah, too high.
And 47.5 seems low to me for a total.
Yeah,
I think that Derrick Henry's going to. You gotta think he electrifies that place, and I really think that's going to be a fun game. All these games are. I mean, all these games are incredible, right? I don't even know which one would be. I couldn't call one the worst.
Well, let me real quick. Let me ask you about a couple of props on this game, because I love some of my favorite props are always anytime touchdown scorer, right?
Right.
Now this is you got to put, there's some juice on this one, but Derrick Henry anytime touchdown scorer minus 175, Joe Mixon minus 115. Jamar Chase plus 125. I think I might lock in all 3 of those and see what happens.
Well, Joe Mixon's kind of in a semi-slump. I'd be like just a little worried there. Okay. But Derrick Henry, here's the thing.
It's basically, it seems like unless he's just not right, it seems like a guarantee he's going to score.
Unless he's in for 2 plays and pulled for the game or something. How does he not score? Yeah. And you're paying less than 2 to 1. Gosh, that seems like one of those locks.
Yeah, it does. The more I think about it, it's like, I mean, listen, you got to risk a little bit at minus 175, but it seems like you'll probably be kicking your feet up in the first quarter after he scores a touchdown. Like, you won't even worry about it after that.
Here's your bet. At BetUS, they have multiple touchdown scores. So Derrick Henry is plus 250. So if he gets 2 or more, you're getting 2.5 times your money. That's a good bet.
I like.
I'm going to bet that one for sure.
I'm going to lock that in too. Well, let's take a look at let's take a look at the other 2 games. So what about San Francisco? We were just talking about their offensive coordinator who's in the running to become Miami's next head coach. They go into the wood chipper. Let's be honest. They're going into Green Bay. The Packers are 6-point favorites at even money. So minus 6 even money. The over-under is 47. It's going to be cold there, but the weather is not going to be terrible, according to the reports in Green Bay. What do you like here?
I bet Green Bay early when it was 5.5, just because I'm like, it's going to 7, I think, Yeah. And San Fran, a lot of people are talking about big time, and San Fran, they're a tough team. I'm worried about Jimmy G. So Jimmy G has a couple injuries he's dealing with his right thumb and his right shoulder. So I think that eventually, or at some point, whether it's because they're behind so much or because he gets hurt, or I think we see a little bit of Trey Lance maybe in this one. So depending on what happens when that comes into play, and that's a possibility. Maybe Jimmy G's fine and these things aren't a problem at all. So it's just it seems to be a good possibility that Trey Lance gets in there for some, I'm not saying major amount of time, but, something. And for San Francisco, Eli Mitchell is, they love him, they pound him. And I think San Francisco, like they were allowed, as far as fantasy points go, fantasy football, they're allowed like the 6th or 7th or 8th fewest, but they are allowed 4.34 yards a carry. So, right. So I think that, San Francisco, they have to get the running game going. They can't just put it in Jimmy G's hands. And I'm not dogging on Jimmy G or saying that, it's just he's a little bit injured. They've developed, their running game, and they developed something that works. So, and with Ayuk and it's receivers. It's kind of crazy Debo's year. All these rushing touchdowns and all that. But I think that Ayuk, if you're playing fantasy or just general, I think that you don't want to be on him because Micah is going to be on, or not Micah, Jair Alexander will probably be tagging on Ayuk, and so that'll be a tough play. But besides that, I gotta say, Jimmy G, he's winning.
Yeah,
and he's not like blatantly. That pick last week, but you got to say that it's not horrible.
Well, Barry, what do you think about this prop? I was looking this up at BetUS. Jimmy Garoppolo total interceptions over 1/2 interception at -150. That seems like free money to me that he's going to throw at least one pick in this game.
Oh, lock it in because this is another one. I won't tell the line stable until I let all your players bet it. Bad line.
Give us a 10-minute head start.
Bad line. Yeah, that's really -1,000.
Yeah, I saw the same. When I was looking for that, I said if they have it at 1/2, it's got to be like -220 or something. But it's only -150, so I'm gonna.
Well, here's the thing though. So as we said, Slade established the running game. How many times is he going to actually throw it? So that's if he throws it 18 times, that's not a whole. That's why it's a little, but still, if you and this is like when you go by the game script that you think is going to happen. So if you believe Green Bay is going to win by 2 scores, which I do. I think they're going to get ahead, and then San Francisco is going to have to pass. So if you go by that game script and you believe that, then that's a good bet. But that's something to think about on these bets that that we don't. But it's just little things like that give you a little bit of an edge especially when you're playing props, because a lot of time on props you can get that plus money and make money. That two touchdowns for the big dog, it's a little bit of a risk because he's coming back. Are they only playing him half the time? I would think that, like you said, he's in shape. He's good. So I think he's at least 80% of play time. But anyway, yeah. But interception. Yeah, I like it.
I like it. Last game, it's got Tampa Bay -3 against the Rams in Tampa, of course. -3 at even money, and the Rams are good. I'm tempted. Tampa -3. I still regret betting against them in the Super Bowl last year. So it's like I have like a knee jerk to want to bet on them throughout the playoffs now. But -3 at even money, over under at 48. Do you like the streaking Rams or the rested Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Well, I think that.
Well, I guess they're not red. They weren't the one seed. So they're not red. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, like, wait, they're not rested. I keep thinking about top 2 seeds. Yeah, no,
that's another thing we didn't talk to about with Green Bay too. They're rested, and they, it's kind of nice. I gotta think Green Bay beats them by at least 6 points. Really.
Yeah.
So anyway, the 48.5 might be a little bit too high. They've got some injuries on both sides of their offensive line. And so I'm not sure how much I'm just not sure it's going to be a shootout game like I was thinking it was. And I haven't made that decision. It's just something that I've rethought after earlier. I think that Tampa, I'm not that impressed by the Rams. The Cardinals played such a lay down game last week that it's hard to take something away from that. It's solid, like, oh, you see how great the Rams looked? But you didn't get a team playing a game on the other end. So we don't get I'm having to go back to the week before what I thought of the Rams, and I thought they'd lose to the Cardinals. And so I think Tampa's gonna take it to them. I really don't think the Rams are gonna be close. This is one where I'm thinking about going they adjusted lines like -10 and get plus 300-400 or whatever it is, 3-1 little $5 bets here and there. Sometimes find one that's 10 to the first player to score a touchdown. I always bet player to score the first touchdown from either team. I look for a guy like 10 to 15 to 1, maybe 20, like a running back receiver that maybe not the favorite, but someone. Oh yeah, he could do it. And, I'll hit 1 out of 100. But
it's like a little scratch-off ticket is kind of what it is.
So, but I think the Rams are seriously. I think they're going to be able to pound in there and get on him. And San Fran's going to run it. And I don't think that they're going to be able to come back and hang with it passing wise with Jimmy G. I could be wrong there. That's what I just believe that the Rams. I think they're gonna pound them. I really do. Am I got all favorites going here? That's not a good sign. I gotta rethink.
I didn't even think about that. Hey, but listen, sometimes that works out, and if 3 out of 4 of them win, then hey, I mean, it is what it is.
Last week, right?
Last week it was what, like two? Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, it was like 5-1 last week. I think
5-1. Yeah, right.
5-1. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I think the only underdog to win was San Francisco last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was all over Cardinals. I got to apologize to all your listeners stuff because I'm pretty sure I was like, "Oh, hey, Cardinals, they're gonna wax them, blah blah blah," and I might even said I might have to be eating crow next week, which.
Love it. Barbecued crow. I don't know.
But, great week. Oh, man, just
tremendous.
Don't miss any of this because last week, way different than this week. Really is.
Yeah.
Just believe me, it's going to be the best week of your life if you're Well, no, it depends what you're doing and who you're with, I guess.
I'll be stuck with my family, so it'll be so sad.
Oh, so your goal. Yeah, that's the best.
Barry Barger, thank you so much. And guys, make sure you're checking out all the betus.com social media accounts. It's great. And even on the website, the locker room, it gives you so much information. Their video channels are great, YouTube, and they share a lot of those on Twitter as well. Not only do they actually give you the spot to bet on games and win money, but they also give you the information that you need. And Barry is a big part of that. Barry, thank you so much.
check the Twitter, like at @BetUS_official and other ones. But we have for all the sports, but we've got some contests coming up for like Super Bowl and stuff. And so just check it because this is the time of year where they're giving out some money. And this is free stuff. Most of it's free. Yeah. So get in and check it out. Seriously, get that money. Get that money.
Get that money.
Hey, man, always great to talk to you. And good luck this weekend, man.
You too, man. I don't want you to have to eat any crow next week.
I don't want you to. I'm the mush.
The anti-mush has become the mush, but not this week.
No.
Barry, be
All
well. We'll
right.
talk to you next week.
All right, you be well too. Thank you.
I love it. Hey, guys, I mentioned not only can you get information from betus.com, but most importantly, you could actually make the bets at betus.com. This is America's favorite sports book. They are the 3-decade leader. They're in their 27th NFL season. And guys, yes, they're available in Florida, because I know most of the, not all, but most of the people who watch us are in Florida. And yes, you can use betus.com in Florida, a full service sports book. And my friends, we have the best bonus in the industry for you. When you sign up at betus.com and when you make your first deposit, they also have redeposit bonuses, but the best bonus is when you make your first deposit. So make sure you use our code. They're going to ask you if you have a promo code. You do have a promo code. Uncle Donno gave it to you. 5RSN125. Use our code 5RSN125, and they're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus. So if you make a $100 deposit, they're going to give you $125 of free play money, which goes a long way into your account on top of your deposit. If you deposit $1,000, they'll give you $1,250 of free play money. You will not find a bonus like this anywhere else in the betting industry. This is the best one out there. You can bet on all the NFL playoff games this weekend, NBA, NHL, UFC pay-per-view. We got UFC 270, Ngannou versus Gane this weekend. They have all the fights at betus.com. You bet, you win, you get paid, betus.com. And yes, our official sports bar of Donno Daily. I've got a craving. I'm going to head back to the quarterdeck this weekend to watch all the playoff games. The quarterdeck is the best spot to watch all the big games. They're going to have the NFL there this weekend, NBA, NHL, and yes, they will have UFC 270 for zero cover charge. That is my hot tip for you. Don't sit home and pay $75 for the pay-per-view. No, go to the quarterdeck and watch it for no cover while you enjoy the 2-for-1 happy hour and the delicious food. Oh, the seafood is so fresh at the quarterdeck. They've got the best burgers I've had in a long time. The all-American burger is great. The French dip sandwich, the jerk chicken sandwich, the salads and pasta dishes are awesome. The baby back ribs are so tender. You guys got to try it out for yourselves. Locations all over Broward County. It's a great place to grab a meal, make some new friends there, knock down some cold beers and 2-for-1 happy hour, and watch all the big games. If you want to find the location nearest to you or peep their menu before you head out there, visit them on the web at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. I'm going to send some shout outs in a minute. I want to thank everyone who's been on with us live, or if you're watching later today. Sorry if I felt a little bit out of, or if I looked a little bit out of sorts early in the show. I was talking to some folks on the phone. It's why we started a little bit late. Just about how our boy Larry Bluestein is doing. He's been having a hard time, guys. He is in the hospital. He is fighting. So please, if you want to check out my social media accounts, Facebook and on Twitter, I have posted out a link to a GoFundMe page to help his lovely wife with his care, because he's gonna need in-home care once he's out of the hospital. He's in the hospital fighting. I'm praying for him every single day. And I know how many lives he has touched over the years. I also know how strong he is. So I know he's going to fight through this. But he is fighting as we speak in the hospital. And there are so many great people out there who have, brought up awareness for the GoFundMe. And I've got a link on my social media. But in case it might be faster for you to Google it, if you Google Larry Bluestein GoFundMe, hopefully the first search result that comes up. This is how I originally found it yesterday when I was talking with the gentleman who made the account. So I know this one is legit, by the way, because people have asked me that as well. They want to donate to Blue, but they don't want to get taken in by some fake page. Look for the one that was made by Harold Cole. Harold Cole is a longtime friend of Larry, who I spoke to him on the phone literally as he was setting up this GoFundMe page yesterday. So when you see it'll say GoFundMe by Harold Cole, and you'll see all about Larry, what he's going through in the description. Make sure you find the right one, and because I've been told there may be a fake one out there, but the one by Harold Cole, that is the legitimate GoFundMe for Larry Bluestein, and it's been overwhelming to see the support. he's been a friend, a close friend of mine for over a decade, and a mentor of mine for a long time. We do the Five Rings Canes podcast together. We haven't had a new episode in a couple weeks because he's been so sick. So we're praying for him. We are praying for him. He and his family are going through a lot. So I want God or whatever forces in the universe you guys believe in, we need to channel them so we can give Larry Bluestein the strength to fight this. And I appreciate the sentiment here by Big Dan 305 and by everyone in the chat, because I'm sure he's not been the only one who's been wishing Blue well. But it's just it's with everything going on, it's just hit me hard today. So if I was a little bit out of sorts, that would be why. We did topic wise, we devoted this episode to Mike McDaniel, he's become the trendiest candidate. I mean, I put out a Twitter poll with about 600 plus votes the last I checked, asking if you guys prefer Mike McDaniel over literally any other candidate, and about 63% say yes. That out of at least 7 known candidates for the Dolphins head coaching job, more than half of you prefer Mike McDaniel over the field. God Soldier says, I don't think you pass on Mike McDaniel. That is an NFL elite mind. That's one of those things. He had his interview about 48 hours ago. I wonder if he blew the Dolphins brass away. And you think about all that he's working on. I mean, he's preparing for a playoff game this weekend, just came out of a playoff game last weekend. He's focusing, obviously, on getting the 49ers ready for a playoff run. I wouldn't mind if they lose this week, by the way, because the Dolphins own the 49ers draft pick. So I don't want that to be the number 32 pick. I do not, selfishly, I don't want the Niners to win the Super Bowl, because if they win the Super Bowl, we're picking dead freaking last in the first round. So please, Mike, go easy on him this week, McDaniel. If you want to coach the Dolphins, you want him to have a better pick, let's just call a triple option or something. Let's try not to win this game this weekend. But no, in all seriousness, I know that it's been leaked that the Dolphins would like their next head coach to be someone who has a good grasp of Miami's roster. I don't know if they'll consider McDaniel to be that guy. I think someone like Brian Daboll might have the edge there, because he's been with Buffalo, who face the Dolphins twice per year. The 49ers do not typically play against Miami. And I don't know, listen, Mike McDaniel, he's probably been like sipping cafecitos and just staying up all night studying the Dolphins and then studying the Niners and their opponents in the playoffs. So he might have been fully ready to answer any question about Miami's roster. But if the Dolphins are really serious about finding someone who loves Tua and finding someone who has like a real good grasp of the Dolphins personnel right now, Brian Daboll might be the guy who nailed the interview, because he coached Tua in college and he faces the Dolphins twice per year in Buffalo. But I agree with some of the people out there. He's not like, if I could have any coach on the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel would not be my top choice. But I think out of the 7 confirmed candidates, he's moving in that direction for me, because I think he does have that brilliant mind. And even though he's not a former NFL player like a lot of coaches are, he seems to have the respect of just about every player that he has coached. You know, people like George Kittle and Pierre Garçon, who he's coached before, have just really gone out of the way, and many, many others have gone out of the way to say just how dynamic this guy is. And he seems to be, he's a Yale graduate and an actual Mensa member. I've never been invited to Mensa, by the way. I guess my SAT scores weren't quite high enough for that. But he seems to have like the next generation type of football mind, where he seems to see things that we see 2-dimensionally. He sees things 3-dimensionally or even 5th-dimensionally. So again, that being really smart and really adept at designing plays, because that's why McDaniel has moved up the ranks the way he has, because it's his play designs and the innovative way, especially the run game, the innovative way he's able to design running plays. That's why he's become such kind of a hot commodity around NFL circles now. That obviously does not guarantee success as a head coach, right? Because you can't micromanage as much when you're a head coach. You have to have exceptional leadership skills. You have to have exceptional ability to oversee things. You become the CEO of a program, which is not the case when you're a coordinator or a position coach. So hopefully, do we trust the Dolphins to actually find the right guy is the question, right? Because they can't afford to fuck up this hire. They have fucked up too many head coaching hires over the past 15 plus years. They've messed them up too many times. Like, the more you mess up those hires, the harder it gets to get someone who's going to dig, because you dig the hole a little bit deeper. And now the next person or the next two people you hire down the road, they have to climb out of a bigger hole that the previous failures have dug for you. Not that I would call Brian Flores a complete failure, because they did have a winning record the past 2 years, but yet here we are again looking for another coach. You cannot afford to screw up this hire. So David already says they will mess it up. I would not be surprised if they end up going with someone like Dan Quinn, who has head coaching experience, just because he's a higher floor type of hire. Like, Dan Quinn would have the higher floor. Mike McDaniel has the higher ceiling, but a lower floor, because he's never been a head coach before. You kind of know what you're getting with Dan Quinn. You don't really know what you're getting with Mike McDaniel. So will the Dolphins roll the dice? And how upset will Dolphins Twitter be if they don't go with McDaniel? Because he's the prom king, which probably he literally was not, because he was a nerd. So he probably wasn't the prom king, when he had his prom 20 years ago or whatever. But as far as Dolphins Twitter goes, he is now the prom king. He is Mr. Popularity. Dolphins Twitter wants to see Mike McDaniel as the next head coach. How will they react if the Dolphins go in a different direction? David says they will go safe. It wouldn't shock me, because Brian Flores was not a safe hire, and they fired him. Adam Gase was a popular hire, but no head coaching experience, was not a safe hire. He failed. You could say that they haven't hired a guy. This goes back even before Stephen Ross. The Dolphins have not hired someone with previous NFL head coaching experience since Wayne Huizenga and company hired Dave Wanstead back in 2000, who he came after Jimmy. So Dave Wanstead was the last guy that they hired with previous NFL head coaching experience. Saban had college experience. Cam Cameron was a coordinator. Sperano was an offensive line coach. Philbin was a coordinator. Gase was a coordinator. Flo was a coordinator. So it's been over 20 years since they hired someone with NFL head coaching experience. Stephen Ross may decide, enough of the rolling the dice. We need to hire somebody who's more of a known commodity, right? So if you're looking for the safe hire, it's probably Dan Quinn, maybe Leslie Frazier. I think I like Dan Quinn a little bit better. Doug Peterson, actually, I like a lot, but they don't seem to be interested in him. So, yeah, I got to tell you, though, even if he may not be my top choice in the universe, I'd be pretty excited if they hired Mike McDaniel, because good or bad, covering him, it seems like it'd be a lot of fun. Because, yeah, he is really good with the media. That in itself is not reason to hire a head coach, him being likable and interesting, but he is good with the media. If you hate RPO, hold on. I want to throw out some shout outs. And by the way, the reason why I went on earlier than usual, because usually we don't start till 3. I'm going to be hosting the second half of Hawk and Crowder today on 560 and 790. I'm going to be on from 4 until 6 today on 560 WQAM and 790 The Ticket. It's a simulcast those 2 hours, and you could also listen on the Odyssey app. It's radio only, so you don't have to look at my hideous face. It's only radio, that platform. You don't have to stare at me like you do on 5 Reasons YouTube. But I am going to be doing a couple of hours of live radio today, so check me out there. And today's like a gambling Friday, right? We had Barry Barger, my good friend, on this show from BetUS.com. When I'm on for Hawk and Crowder at around 5 o'clock, we're going to have on Lee Sterling. So he's going to join me on the radio at about 5 today to go through some NFL and UFC picks. David says, Hawk taking more and more time off lately. Listen, Hawk, he's a bigwig, okay? You notice, like Hawk is like, he's trying to get on like the Howard Stern trajectory. Like, like for those who subscribe to Sirius XM and you listen to Howard Stern, he's off like probably 320 days out of 365. Like he's off for most of the year. I think Hawk is getting up to that level. I think Hawk is getting to that point where he can take more and more days off. And as long as they keep calling me to fill in, I'm totally fine with that. Marla tells me she wants me to mention it. Yeah, I should. FSU Miami basketball game at 2 p.m. tomorrow for first place in the ACC. I'm actually glad you alerted me to the fact that it's a 2 p.m. game because I was not aware of that. That's a horrible time to watch a college basketball game. Like, you understand, like international soccer, because they're playing in a different time zone. Like, I understand if I want to watch a Serie A or Premier League game, I understand why it's like a 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock start time sometimes because of the time zones. Why the hell are we playing ACC basketball at 2 p.m.? Thankfully, I normally work from home. Tomorrow's a Saturday. What am I thinking? Okay, so Saturday, it's not so bad. God, I have what universe are we in right now? I guess for Saturday, 2 p.m., that's not terrible. Still, I'm going to be around soccer practice with my kid. So maybe we'll get home in time for that. But no, 2 p.m. tomorrow. Florida State, they robbed Miami last time. Awful call by the official, gave Florida State the game-winning free throws. Miami is out for revenge. They are the better team. They will be out for blood. Hurricanes will catapult themselves to the top of the ACC. Huge thank you and shout out to our guy, Benton, who I've seen active in the chat. Jay Mill, thank you so much. David, God Soldier. I like, I don't feel like God Soldier. I don't feel like I see you in here every day. I like what you've been throwing in the chat. So become a regular if you want. I'd love to see more of you in here. So as long as we don't get Doug Peterson, I will be okay. I hate the RPO with a passion. That's the thing is, like, that's good for Tua, though. So you would think that'd be another reason why they would want to talk to Doug Peterson. But I think, honestly, you guys know my theory. I think the main reason why they're not going after Doug Peterson is he had a power struggle in Philly. They just fired a guy for losing a power struggle. Chris Grier is a yes man and a doormat. I don't think he wants to bring in an alpha like Doug Peterson. I think they maybe want to find a guy that they think is not going to rattle the cage. It's my theory, okay? All the evidence to me is pointing to that if you're looking for a reason why they're not calling Doug Peterson, that could be the reason. They don't want someone who's going to question the general manager too much the way the previous guy did. Thank you to Tony 2 times. Thank you to Mark M. I appreciate you getting in here. I'll give you guys the disclaimer I usually give. I try to shout out everybody I possibly can. I'm going to skip over some people. It's not on purpose. I'm going to shout out some people 2-3 times by accident. So I apologize in advance if I skip you. I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm literally scrolling up manually and my eyes are getting old. I miss some things sometimes. Level 2 noob, thank you so much for the message. Mike P, thank you so much for tuning in. Big Dan 305. And by the way, Big Dan, I love your contributions in the chat for the Larry Bluestein GoFundMe. He's right. Please give what you can because I know the family is going to need it. They're going to be incurring a lot of expenses here. And he's also right about this video and this channel. Smash the like button, right? If you like what you see, even if you don't, it's not hurting you to hit the like button. Like, even if you're watching me, you're like, man, this guy's got an annoying face. Maybe you hate crypto and you see I'm wearing a Bitcoin t-shirt. You're like, this guy is everything I hate about the internet. And you're tempted to hit the dislike button. Don't listen to that part of your brain. Listen to the part of the brain that says, I pity this guy. So let me smash the like button, even though I don't like him. It helps us out. It works the whole YouTube algorithm. It's really good for us if you hit the like button. So please do it. Do it. If not for me, do it for Manny Chang, our producer. Smash that like button. And while you're at it, make sure you subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. Indeed. Thank you so much. He says, unless McDaniel comes with veteran coaches and Mike Munchak for O-line coach. Building a staff is important. Like he's got to. I don't think the Dolphins would hire him unless they're confident he's going to build a good staff. I would hope anyway. Not that the Dolphins front office has been competent, but yeah, whoever they hire, make sure that person, unlike Flo, can build a staff. Our guy Kai Chen Chisholm. Kai, he is, I think, the president of the Mike McDaniel fan club. He is a card-carrying Mike McDaniel fanboy. If McDaniel gets the job, nobody will be happier than Kai. And Kai is a nerd as well, like Mike. That's probably why he likes McDaniel so much. Kai made probably one of the best Photoshops I've ever seen of McDaniel at the Dolphins podium wearing a Dolphins polo. I would never even guess that's a Photoshop. I know it's a Photoshop because he's never been at a podium in a Dolphins polo before, but it looks so, it was a very good Photoshop. I've seen some shit Photoshops in my day. That was not one of them. All right, who else? Ray Grullon, my guy. Yeah, he says Barry Barger. He does sound a little bit like Scott Farrell. Scott Farrell, shake it, ooh. I love Farrell. What a good guy. He used to have me on his show, but I think the last time I went on his show, I had such a terrible appearance. He hasn't invited me back. It's been like probably 7-8 months. Like he does a video thing now, like we're doing. And when he had me on, like I was like, I didn't have a computer. I was on my phone, and like I almost forgot to do the interview, and I couldn't get the program working on my phone. And then by the time I got on, I was so flustered. I didn't have anything to say. I used to hear from Farrell's people like once every month or so. I haven't heard from him in 7 or 8 months. I've been blacklisted. I still love Scotty though. He's still a great guy. Color commentary. Thank you so much. He's another, he seems reasonably new to our comment page. I've noticed Color this week, so hopefully he stays on beyond this week, because I always love to see newer folks in the comments. James Steele, who I think is a newcomer as well, thank you so much. Chris is a veteran. Finn's Tailgate, we love you. At some point, I'm going to go on Chris's show. We'll make that happen, I think, within the next month or so, maybe sooner. We'll see. Andres, thank you so much for tuning in. He's another regular. We love you. Marcus Hunter, thank you so much for coming back. I see him. His connect, yeah, and this is what I would hope for with McDaniel. His connection with the Shanahan family should allow him to build a staff. But you could have said the same thing about Flo. Like Flo worked in New England for how many years? Like you would have thought he'd come across enough great people with the Patriots, and he could ask Belichick for some recommendations. So I don't know what Flo. The predominant theory on Flo was Flo didn't want to employ anyone who was a threat to his job, and also Flo was difficult to work with, reportedly. So he may not have wanted to work with people people may not have wanted to work with him, I think is the way I was looking to word that. Let's see, who else? Trying not to shout out people twice, but I told you it's going to happen. Oh, here's a new one. Jeffrey Anderson, thank you so much for tuning in. He says, Ross just said that to be saying it. I don't believe it's smoke. I believe it's smoke because it's too quiet. Yeah, I think that was, he's talking about the Harbaugh stuff. Jeffrey, I hope you're right. I know we've talked up Mike McDaniel on this episode. I would definitely take Jim Harbaugh over Mike McDaniel. Sorry to the fanboys, but if Jim Harbaugh really was available, yeah, I would take him in a heartbeat. Let me throw out a few more, and then I got to run because I have to get away from my undisclosed location to a disclosed location to host the Hawk and Crowder show in a bit. Oh, Brian, thank you so much. And yeah, he threw this out there before we started I started a little bit late today, later than the scheduled time, so I apologize. Hopefully you stuck around for the show. Obi, thank you so much for getting in. And I think I've hit just about everybody today. So if I missed you, I apologize. Everyone have an awesome weekend. If you want to hear me talk some Canes and Dolphins and Heat, I'm going to be on 560 WQAM and 790 simulcast in about an hour and a half, filling in on the second half of the Hawk and Crowder show. So we will talk to you guys again then, and then we'll have this show fired back up on Monday right here on Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.